The United States is still the richest country in the world, yet more and more Americans feel that life is becoming harder. Not because they earn less, but because everything costs more: rent, healthcare, and even the feeling of security. There is a quiet moment many people never talk about when they hesitate before seeing a doctor, not because they are not sick, but because they fear the bill. Then comes the realization that working harder no longer means living better, only surviving. Without noise or announcements, many people leave quietly, not because they hate America, but because they are exhausted. They are not searching for wealth, they are searching for a lighter life where costs no longer control every decision. Places where $100 a week is enough to live with dignity, not luxury, but without constant stress. Not perfect places, not paradise, just places that do not drain you every day. And right now there are 3 countries quietly becoming that choice. 3. Vietnam. There is a strange thing that happens to many Americans in Vietnam, and it doesn't happen at immigration, it doesn't happen at the hotel, and it doesn't happen on the first day. It happens quietly on an ordinary morning when you realize that nothing around you is rushing, and for the first time in years, neither are you. You sit on a small plastic chair on the sidewalk, the kind that looks temporary but has been there for decades. In front of you is a cup of strong Vietnamese coffee that costs about $1. Motorbikes pass by, people talk softly, someone laughs, someone eats breakfast slowly. The city is awake, but it is not anxious. No one is chasing the clock, and no one seems bothered that you are not either. This is not a vacation moment. This is just a normal morning in Vietnam. And that is exactly why it feels unfamiliar to many Americans. Life here does not announce itself as cheap or luxurious. It simply feels accessible. A local meal costs $2 to $3 a bowl of noodles rice with meat, something warm and filling. You eat well without planning it. You eat without calculating. By the end of the day, food expenses rarely feel like a decision you have to think about. Housing follows the same quiet logic. Outside the most central districts, a clean, furnished apartment can be rented for around $250 to $400 a month. Not perfect, not fancy, but functional, private, and yours. When food, housing, transportation, and daily expenses are added together, many foreigners find themselves living comfortably on $700 to $900 a month. Not surviving. Living. Enough becomes a real word again. Vietnam does not make long-term living effortless, but it also does not shut the door in your face. The visa system is not as generous as places like Georgia, and it requires attention and preparation. But for those who understand the process, extensions and longer stays are possible. Vietnam does not promise simplicity, but it offers flexibility if you are willing to learn how the system works. Healthcare is one of the first surprises. In major cities, private hospitals are modern, efficient, and accustomed to foreign patients. Many doctors speak English. A general checkup usually costs between $30 and $70. For Americans used to fear and paperwork before medical visits, the feeling afterward is not excitement. It is relief. The relief of knowing that getting sick does not automatically mean financial damage. Vietnam is also relatively safe for foreigners who live attentively. Violent crime is rare in everyday life. The real risks are more ordinary traffic noise and overstimulation. The streets can feel chaotic. Crossing the road feels like a skill you have to learn. The language barrier is real, and on some days it can feel isolating. But there is something Vietnam never asks you to do. It never asks you to prove your worth. No one cares what you used to do, how much you earned, or where you rank socially. You are not required to explain yourself. You are simply allowed to exist. For many people, that quiet acceptance is worth more than perfect infrastructure. Vietnam is not for everyone. It is loud. It is messy. It requires patience. But for those who are tired of being measured, rushed, and priced out of their own lives, Vietnam offers something increasingly rare, a place where life feels human again. 2. Mexico. Morning in a small Mexican town does not announce itself loudly. There are no alarms, no rush-hour panic, no sense that the day is already behind schedule. The streets wake up slowly. A bakery opens its doors. Someone pours coffee. Conversations begin at an unhurried pace, as if time is something people still own here. You sit at a small table with fresh bread and a cup of coffee, listening to voices move gently around you. People talk. They pause. They laugh without checking their phones. Nothing feels optimized. Nothing feels urgent. It is not a performance of calm. It is simply how mornings work. And for many Americans, that alone feels unfamiliar. Mexico does not try to convince you that life is cheap. It simply shows you that life is manageable. Outside major tourist centers, a modest apartment can be rented for around $350 to $500 a month. Not luxury, not run down, just practical living space that feels personal. Food follows the same pattern. Eating well does not require planning or restraint. $10 to $15 a day is usually enough for regular meals, coffee, and small pleasures. When housing, food, transportation, and daily expenses come together, many foreigners find themselves living comfortably on $800 to $1,000 a month. What surprises people is not just the numbers, but the absence of pressure. You are not constantly reminded of how much everything costs. You do not feel punished for existing. Life does not feel like a series of financial negotiations. For Americans, staying long-term in Mexico is also relatively straightforward if approached correctly. Residency options exist, and the requirements are not as aggressive as many expect. With proper preparation, long-term living is achievable without endless bureaucracy. Mexico does not make promises of simplicity, but it does not close the door quickly either. Healthcare is one of Mexico's quiet strengths. Private hospitals and clinics are modern, efficient, and widely used by foreigners. Many American patients come here intentionally for treatment procedures and long-term care. The quality is high, the doctors are experienced, and the costs are dramatically lower than in the United States. What would be financially devastating back home often becomes manageable here. For many people, the relief is not in saving money, but in removing fear from medical decisions. Safety is a more complex conversation, and Mexico does not hide that. Not every city is suitable for foreigners, and choosing where to live matters. But in many towns and neighborhoods with established communities, daily life is calm and predictable. People walk in the evening. Shops stay open. Street life feels alive rather than threatening. Safety here is not about perfection. It is about awareness and choosing wisely. One of the strongest differences Americans notice is the role of family and community. Life in Mexico revolves around people, not schedules. Meals are shared. Conversations are long. Relationships matter more than efficiency. This can feel comforting, but it can also feel overwhelming. Privacy exists, but it is not protected by distance. If you value isolation, adjustment takes time. Mexico is not a place where everything works smoothly. Delays happen. Systems are inconsistent. Some days require patience. But Mexico offers something many people did not realize they were missing. It does not rush you. It does not measure you by productivity. It allows you to exist without constantly asking what comes next. Mexico is not the right answer for everyone, but for those who are tired of urgency, tired of constant calculation, and tired of living life one bill at a time. Mexico offers a different rhythm, a slower one, a human one. Mexico doesn't rush you. 1. Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, mornings arrive without ceremony. There is no background noise demanding your attention, no sense that the day has already begun without you. A small Eastern European cafe opens its doors. Cups clink softly. Someone stirs coffee. People sit in silence not because they are lonely, but because silence is allowed here. You take a seat by the window. Outside, the street moves slowly. No one is rushing. No one is signaling urgency. There are no screens flashing headlines, no voices competing for space. The quiet feels deliberate. And for many Americans, it feels unfamiliar, almost unsettling at first. Life here does not ask you to perform productivity from the moment you wake up. Bulgaria does not advertise itself as a destination. It does not sell dreams of reinvention or promise a perfect lifestyle. What it offers instead is something quieter and more durable affordability that does not feel temporary. A modest apartment can be rented for $300 to $450 a month. Not luxury, not neglected, but solid and private. Food follows the same grounded logic. A simple meal costs $5 to $8. You eat well, not extravagantly, but consistently. When rent, food, utilities, and daily expenses come together, many foreigners live comfortably on $900 to $1,100 a month. What stands out is not how little you spend, but how little you think about spending. Costs stop dominating your decisions. Life becomes predictable in a way that feels stabilizing rather than boring. Bulgaria's relationship with Europe is practical rather than glamorous. As a member of the European Union, it offers a sense of long-term stability, but nothing happens quickly. Residency processes take time. Paperwork moves slowly. Progress is steady, not immediate. For some, this feels frustrating. For others, it feels reassuring. Bulgaria does not rush you into decisions, and it does not suddenly change the rules. It acts like a door that opens slowly, but stays open once you are inside. Healthcare is another quiet advantage. In smaller cities and regional centers, private clinics are accessible and affordable. Doctors are well trained. Costs are low compared to Western Europe and the United States. A routine visit does not feel like a financial risk. Safety follows the same pattern. Small Bulgarian cities are calm. Evenings are quiet. Streets are walkable. Crime is not absent, but it is not intrusive. Life feels contained rather than chaotic. But Bulgaria is not an easy place socially. English is limited outside major areas. Conversations take effort. Loneliness can surface especially during the winter months when days are shorter and the cold settles in. Bulgaria does not reach out to you quickly. It does not entertain you. It does not soften itself for newcomers. And that is the trade-off. Bulgaria offers silence, not stimulation. It offers space, not excitement. For some, that silence feels empty. For others, it feels like relief. There is no pressure to be interesting, successful, or busy. You are not asked to explain yourself. You are allowed to live quietly without constant comparison. Bulgaria is not for those who need energy, convenience, or immediate connection, but for people who are tired of noise, tired of being measured, and tired of living inside systems that never stop asking for more. Bulgaria offers something rare. Silence is part of the deal, and for the right person, that silence feels like home. None of these countries promise a perfect life. They don't offer certainty, comfort at every corner, or systems that work flawlessly. They don't ask you to stay forever. They don't demand a final decision, and they don't pressure you to commit before you are ready. They only give you something that has become rare in the modern world: time-space, and the right to decide for yourself. Maybe you won't leave. Maybe this video is just something you're watching on a tired evening. Maybe tomorrow, you will wake up and return to the same routine. But now you know this: the door is not locked. You are not trapped, and wanting a lighter life does not mean you failed at the one you have. Sometimes freedom is not about where we go. It is about realizing that we still have a choice. If this video gave you even a small sense of relief, if it helped you slow down for a moment and breathe a little easier, take a second to support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. Not because we promise answers, but because here we explore questions that many people are afraid to say out loud. And if you have ever thought about leaving even once, but never said it out loud, leave a dot in the comments, just a dot.